Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Tea Time with Lynn and my co host, Masego. Masego will be joining in just a second. So make yourself at home. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Invite a few friends to join us. I say five, but maybe 10. And I'm going to add some people too to share that we are live. And okay, let me see who I'm adding this to. Who are my friends today that I am adding a quick live? I feel like I haven't been on live in a really, really long time. Okay, all right. Adding a few more people and send. Maseo, if you're on, go ahead and send me a request to join, and I will go ahead and add you. I see you. Okay, Maseo, when you get a moment, send me a request to join the live, and I will add you that way. Thank you. I see it. All right. So, again, if you are joining Facebook Live, go ahead and tune in and let me know where you're tuning in from, how you are doing today, what's on your mind. Before I introduce my guest co-host of the day, I just want to give you a brief introduction. What am I saying? Okay. So, I want to introduce you all to my friend Masego, who I met in 2014, and we have been, I want to say, long distance friends since then. We've only seen each other in person one time. Isn't that amazing? And we have kept a friendship and communication all this time. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Masego on and we'll get this started. Everybody ready? Let me see. Oh, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. How are
Okay,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm
Hi,
good.
everybody.
Yes. Maseo, if you could do me a favor and like add some people to join the live if you haven't already, and Jay Brianna and Lisa Renee, if you go ahead and add some people, so we want a full house, as much participation and engagement and audience members that we have, the better. Let's see. So, um, before we get started
Mhm.
on the conversation, Maseo, this was on my mind as I was preparing for this live today. Like just a few minutes ago, like 30, 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I feel like right now I'm feeling something that maybe like there's like this disbelief in the possible.
Oh,
I know. And so I just
oh,
thought that, before we get started, we would just take a moment and those of you all joining, take a moment and think of something in your mind. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but think of something in your mind that feels kind of impossible for you right now.
mm,
Hold that and know that it is possible. So we're going to think of that thing. We're going to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out together. And then we're going to release it before we start this conversation because all things are possible. All right. Everybody ready? All right. I'm holding mine. Deep breath in. All right. Thank you
that
all.
feels great.
Yeah, right?
And I love that because I came in like thinking about this conversation. My main goal was to just be an inspiration and encouragement to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that they are going through.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, times are tough. you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, we need encouragement. I would say now more than ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, let's get this party started.
Absolutely.
Yes. So first of all, before we get started, I went to, well, I've said that about 25 times a day. Don't mind me, guys. But I wanted, what I really like about you and I and our story is that it's really about like relationship and people that we meet along the creative journey that we don't know how long they'll be there in our lives, but they came to us in a particular moment in time, in a particular space.
Yeah.
And both of us were not even in our home states when we met.
No.
And I just think that's just really remarkable to learn that. So for those of you all that are watching that are singer songwriters or artists, Masego and I met at the ASCAP conference, which I will not try to repeat the acronym. But it's for songwriters and music publishers and so forth, and performers. So that was 2014. It was not necessarily at the beginning of my journey, but it was at like, I guess like the first quarter. I don't know why I'm saying quarters, like I know how long this journey is gonna be. But it was in the first few years of me pursuing music, and the way that I got to that conference was just out of just a weird time in my life when I look back at it. Like
Really?
And like we getting some tea already. But this actually was my first trip with a guy who at the time was my boo. Or
really? Wow.
And and it was weird. It was like we weren't in a committed situation. We were in a situationship. We were in an entanglement.
Oh.
And he was someone also in the events industry. And I told him about this conference, and he's like, I want to go too. And he just kind of saw that as an alignment for what he was working on with his events business. So cool, no problem. But I think when we decided to go together, or when he decided to go with me, that I had it in my mind that he was going to be more present with me throughout the conference. So, Masego, when you and I met, we met at Priscilla Renee's
I remember
songwriting session.
Yes.
And and Priscilla Renee, her artist name now is Money Long.
Right.
And I remember it was at the end, and for some reason I was just hanging around in the back towards the end. Like
Absolutely.
I didn't have a reason to, but I was just chilling. I still remember a little bit what I wore. I know I had on a white shirt. I remember what you wore. You had on like a light denim button-up shirt.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You were like, hey girl.
It was a top shop button-up shirt.
Yes. And I just remember you complimenting me, and it just took me out of whatever I was going through.
I loved your hair. I loved your hair. Yes.
Thank you. And for those of you that are watching that are just meeting me, I've had a mohawk for a significant amount of time. Now I got like a little bit of pixie, but I still got a little bit of mohawk too.
Right.
So yeah, I was rocking my bigger traditional mohawk at the time. And so I just really just enjoyed the fact that was the moment that we met, and ever since then we've just been really, really cool, and still never even haven't seen each other since that time.
Right. Yeah.
So with that being said, I want to thank you for being that person in my life.
Thank you. And I appreciate you, because like I love our conversations. You know, it's always about encouraging each other. We share our journeys. Some really deep conversations too. We won't go into that, but but yeah, it's always amazing whenever we get together and
Yes.
share.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. So I appreciate that
No
about you.
problem.
Hmm.
So, before I let you go ahead and take the microphone,
Yeah.
I'm going to greet everybody that's come in. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Benny Drums. Hello,
Hey, Ben. Thanks for coming.
hello, Jarvia. Hello, Anita. Hello, Alicia. Hello, SB Thornton. Anthony Cologne, maybe. Jay Brianna, hello, hello, hello. Let us know how you're doing today and where you're tuning in from. And I'm gonna let Maseo go ahead and share with us just a brief intro, Maseo, on what you do, where you live, and I don't know anything else that's on top of your mind to share.
Sure. Guys, I am a boy from Durban, South Africa. And I am a singer, songwriter, and I also do translation work for TV and film. Um, I've written songs for other people. Um, Recently, I wrote a song for Mickey Shiloh, who's like a very experienced songwriter in her own right. Like she's written songs for like J Lo and Janet Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she worked with Rodney Jerkins, in fact, and she's an artist herself, and she's a record label owner. So we've collaborated with her like over the course of last year. We wrote two songs together, and one of them just came out in January. It's called um, He. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the song, but yeah, but I'll remember that in a little bit. But yeah, so I write songs for other people, but like the most success I've had so far is with the translation work because I've got to work on really big projects with that. My first project was The Lion King. Yeah, so I translated the music, The Circle of Life for both the 94 and the 2019 versions of the movie. And oh my God, I also got to work on Black is King by Beyonce. That was just an amazing experience because I didn't see it coming. They were like, hey, do you want to work on this project? And every project has a code name.
Oh.
So when I opened up the project, I was like, oh my God, it's Beyonce, because Black Parade had just come out.
Uh-huh.
And I remember because like literally a week before that, I was like, I wonder what the visual for this is going to look like. And there it was in front of me. I didn't have much work to do, but like I literally just stayed there to just watch the entire thing because it was that amazing. And yeah, what a cool experience. So I currently am in Los Angeles. I lived here for a year, then I had to go home just because of visa issues, and then I've been back here in since 2019, and I came back in an extraordinary way. I Going home was difficult for me because I'd gotten so used to life here. I was establishing myself, and you know that LA is a culture shock for everybody, no
Yeah.
matter where you're from.
Yeah.
And I found out very quickly that visiting here, which I'd done for like 3 or 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
that is so different from actually living here. It's a totally different experience. So, yeah, that first year usually is difficult for people,
Mm-hmm.
and it sure was for me. Like I was supposed to be here for a month, but I decided to just extend my stay. And the minute I made that decision, all hell broke loose. My money was held back, and it was held back at a time where I was looking for a place to stay. I ended up moving like 7 times in a span of 2 weeks. You know, and all the while I'm trying to attend classes. I attended the Songwriting School of Los Angeles, so, and it was difficult but at the same time, I was like, I don't care what it is that I'm going through right now, I'm staying, you know. Um, and I also had to deliver in class. I had to write songs all the time, play them, perform them.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
But it was stressful. And, eventually I got my money and I was able to find a place to stay. And my mom was a great help, like especially during that time, and people around me in the community that I was in at the school helped me. In fact, the head of the school helped me, like, with connecting me to people who were able to help me. So that was a great help.
Yeah.
And I stayed here. I ended up staying here for a year, and during that time, I met some people who just took advantage of me, toxic people. Um, so it was just a lot going on. And by the time I got home, the nice thing about going home was that it gave me space to just breathe, take stock of what I had happened
Yeah.
during that year, and just not have to run around like a headless chicken. you know. So and going home, it no longer felt like home because I experienced reverse culture shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I experienced that. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but I experienced it. Everybody has moved on, and you're in a different space. I'd seen the world really, because that's what LA is. Everybody from all over the world is here, and you just get to experience a lot of things, and in a short space of time. It's a city that really pushes you, and it challenges you. And it's up to you whether you rise above those challenges or you give up, you know. So I ended up staying home for 2 years. And in that time, I just couldn't find work, which was frustrating. But the positive side of that was it just gave me time to reflect, you know. And I remember, like, the first 3 months, I was just literally numb. My family knew there was a problem, but I just didn't want to talk about it. You know, I got into it turned into depression, and ultimately I did get help. I went to therapy as much as I could, and I did a lot of self-help. I'm very analytical, so I was like, okay, what is going on with me right now?
Yeah.
And I started looking on the internet. What is this? And I eventually found out, like, okay, this is this is depression.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is like, okay, what is the root of this? And the root is that I tend to attract narcissists. you know, I'm an empath, so that's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
They prey on empathic people. So I realized that was the issue as well. Family helped, just talking about it to family members as well.
Yeah.
And so I would pray, man. I would pray. I would be like, God, I need to come back to LA. I miss my life in LA. I miss my friends, because, I didn't have family. And your friends become your family. So I really missed that life.
Yeah.
And, God would talk to me, and I would see signs that it was coming. It was just a matter of time. And I got frustrated at times, and it was just like, okay, God,
Yeah.
when?
Yeah.
I'd literally cry and be like, when?
Yeah.
So, fast forward. So while I was in South Africa, I got I got a grant to by the by the South African government and Business Arts South Africa, and basically the grant was for creatives who want to start whatever project it is, whether it's music, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was fortunate to be part of that program. The grant was about $400, but there was like the main prize. The main prize was going to be 4,000. Okay, so I'm like, okay, the plan was to get that and find a way to come back. So in February 2019, there was like this whole event where they flew us out to Johannesburg, and they were gonna give out that grand prize. And I was so disappointed when I didn't get it. I was like, oh, okay, God, what now? So I spent a week just being disappointed.
Yeah.
And then I remember this, like on the 1st of March 2019, I was literally washing the dishes at home, and I heard a voice. And the voice said, "What if I told you that you were gonna go back to LA a month from now?" And then I'm like, okay. Did I hear right? And the next question was, God, is that you? And I started researching, like, how do you know when you're hearing from God? Is it your thoughts? Because obviously I'd been thinking about this.
Yeah.
And, like, how do you hear it? How do you know, rather?
Yeah.
And I came across Sean Bowles, who's a preacher, and in one of his sermons, he said, when you when you hear that voice, it is God's voice because God is inside of us. He lives inside of us. And that was it for me.
Yeah.
I started drawing up a budget.
Yes.
I started watching videos about apartment hunting in LA. Even though I've done it, it was just to fuel my vision.
Yep.
And I started looking for remote jobs because at the time I thought that was the way I'm gonna be able to come back.
Yeah.
So that was the 1st of March. 1st of April comes in. My friend Zandile is in the chat. So she she had one basically permanent residence to come and to come and live in the US. So at the time we were talking and she was supposed to travel from South Africa to Atlanta, right? So she had given birth and she had another child that she was going to be traveling with. So we were literally talking to each other because she needed me to help her out, right? So the question was, when are you coming back? Like she literally asked me in December 2018. I was like, oh, maybe January, right? Yeah. But then in those conversations, I then started saying to her, okay, take my US number, keep it because I'm coming back. Literally, that's what I told her. And I remember at the end of our conversation, she was like, I'll see you soon. Right?
Yeah.
And then I called literally all my closest friends who are in the US. I was like, guys, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just don't know when, but this is what I heard. And I'm going to be seeing you soon as well.
Yeah.
So fast forward, May 2019, I see a tweet from BET Africa, and it's a sweepstakes to win a trip to the BET Awards, right? Now the background to this is that whatever sweepstakes that I would see that would where you could win a trip to the US, I would enter. I was like, as long as I can get there, everything else is going to sort itself out, right?
Yeah.
So with this one, I saw it and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks good. But I just need to see what the terms and conditions are. What exactly do you win and how all that works.
Yeah.
So that eventually they put it up on their website, like I think probably about a week later. So I entered 3 times. So it was the sweepstakes was BET and Vodacom, which is like a South African cell phone company.
Okay.
They were promoting their new streaming services. So to enter the sweepstakes, you had to tweet both companies and take a screenshot from a song on the streaming platform, right?
Yeah.
And on one of the screenshots, the time was 10:28. Now, what's significant about that is that my birthday is on 1/28.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, this is a sign. I knew it. I felt it in my spirit. I was like, okay, there's something to this. So I entered 3 times, and for the duration of the sweepstakes, my goal was to beat whoever has entered the sweepstakes the most. So if somebody has entered twice, I'd enter 3 times, just like that, because it's all hashtags, it's Twitter. So whoever has the most entries is going to win. So the 29th of May, sorry, let me just backtrack. So I speak to my mother. I'm like, hey, Ma, do you have a passport? And then she's like, no. And then I was like, well, you never know. We might go to Dubai. I just said it like that. Right. Yeah, just very like subtle. And then on the 29th of May, I got a DM from BET. They're like, hey, you're finalist. Sorry, it was the 27th of May. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they asked me to just send a short video motivating why they should pick me as the winner. So I shot that video on the 28th of May. Remember the number 28,
Yeah.
right? I shot the video. I sent it over. And so as soon as I got the DM from BET, I was like, Ma, you need to get your passport right now because I want to go with you, and we have to be ready.
Yeah.
And I really pushed her. She was like, why are you pushing me like this?
Yeah.
Right? So we go to the government office and they tell her, no, you actually do have a passport. Just come back to us. She had done one in 2011. She had forgotten. So they're like, only come to us if you've lost it.
Yeah.
So we go home, we look for it, we can't find it.
Yeah.
And during that time, we were like on a staycation, so not too far from home, right? So we just going in and out, and we just trying to figure out this passport thing. And then 2 days later, we look for it again, and then we find it, right? And then on the way back to the hotel, I get an email from BET. They're like, hi, can we have your passport details and the details of the passport details of the person that's traveling with you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And literally, I just put up my hands and I was like, okay, Ma, we going. That's it.
Yeah.
I called my friend Zandi, and she was so excited. And I remember her saying to me that, Masego, God loves you because this is God's gift to you. You love music, and the fact that you're gonna be able to take your mother with you is just so special.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I came back to the United States. A fully paid trip back to the United States.
Yes.
They put us up at a very nice hotel. Yeah, they literally rolled out the red carpet for us. And the cherry on top was that I got to be in a commercial for BET.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that was amazing, and I believe they showed that throughout the entire African continent. So that was an amazing experience as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you know, it's one thing to come to LA, but
Yeah.
staying is another thing.
Yes. And pause before you get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me drop in a couple comments and things that I have
Yeah. Go
written
ahead.
down while you were
Yeah.
speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And also I wanted to go ahead and say what's up to the new people that have joined since you
Hey, guys.
have started talking, and even address some of the comments. So we have Sherry says she applauds your resilience.
Thank you so much.
And then my cousin is familiar with that. I knew she was going to comment about the narcissist thing.
Ooh, it's
So,
real.
and so I just, I thank you so much for sharing your journey. Just that small window of time, but how so many things happened, you know, within your journey. But the things that happened, I wrote things like the culture shock,
Yes.
root of issues, having faith, asking God when, and preparing for your blessings. And there's some things that I want to highlight and expound a little bit more for those watching. The one thing about Maseo is that he really is resilient, and him and I talked during several moments of this journey, and it was just moments where I thought, damn, if I had if I had to go through that, I just don't know what I would have done or how I would have gotten through to get to LA, which is another unknown place. You know what I mean? Like, that's a place that you when you're called to a place, you still don't necessarily know what it's like to be there. And to have so much resolve and resilience to get to this place, not really fully knowing, I think that alone just speaks to the resilience that you just encompass. But with that being said, when it comes to the journeys, my homegirl Sherry is on it. Her and I, we talk about manifesting a little bit.
Yeah.
And with my line sister Bakila, we've talked about manifesting and manifesting big things for our lives. And the one thing that I've talked about also with my prayer partner over time is that when you're asking for something, it's also the preparation of what you're asking for. So if you're asking for $10,000, then go ahead and create that budget of what you're going to do with your $10,000, who you're going to help. If you've got an idea, sit down with it and write it and plan it out. Because in the plans is where you're able to clear your mind of what's already been given you and making room for more plans. And what is really amazing, which I think is the gem in manifesting, is that after you have made your request, after you have planned and set the foundation that you are ready for the request, then you take a step back and you let God do the rest. I think that's super amazing. And the other thing that stood out to me was how you partner with God. And this is a theme that I have been working on since the pandemic. I've been more focused on it since the pandemic, but you know, over time we have these views of who God was when we were growing up, like who people told us God was. And then once we get a little bit older, then we're able to realize, like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like who they told me God was doesn't fit.
Right.
And then once you start exploring on your own, you develop your own definition of God and your own relationship eventually with who God is. And we go from this evolution of God kind of being dictated to us defining it for ourselves, but then us seeing God as our friend and our partner. And one thing specifically that you mentioned that made me think about this point was how you were constantly, just like me, saying, okay, God, what's next? Okay, God, is this you? Okay, God, what's up? I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And so I think that's just a wonderful part about the story. And I didn't want to pass that moment without highlighting that for sure. You want to go ahead and talk about the next thing, like getting to LA? I said here like I'm in LA too.
Question, can you still see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good, good, good. Because it's black on my end. All right,
Oh,
no
okay.
problem.
Can you
Yeah.
see?
Um, well, what I wanted to say as well is that the partnering with God is not easy, because it's not, right? Because I remember I remember I was like, Zandy, it's April 1st. Nothing has happened. And I was stressing out. He had spoken, God had spoken, but it
Yes.
was like a month. But when I look back, I remember the scripture that, where God says that a day to me
Uh-huh.
is like, can be longer
Yeah.
for us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And what how I comforted myself was like, okay, the national elections were about to happen in May.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for you to vote in another country, you have to like register way before, right?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let me just stay, let me vote, and then whatever happens,
Yeah.
it will happen after that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to highlight that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean we're human, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We're human, we get stressed, and we like to be in control.
Yes.
But God doesn't work like that.
Correct.
He doesn't.
And
Yeah, so I
also,
just
like, when we think we're in control, we really aren't.
no, we're not. We're not. And he will remind you sometimes that you're not in control, that
Yes.
he
Yes.
is, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to make a major decision once I got here,
Yeah.
because literally before, like even before I left, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is my ticket out.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I
Yes.
was like, how am I gonna stay?
Yes.
Right? I was like, I had a conversation with my mother. I'm like, okay, ma, give me 1 month, just one, right?
Yes.
And that month went by so quickly. I
Mm-hmm.
remember we had a conversation, and literally, like, I was like, oh my God, it's the 19th of July. I need to, I was supposed, well, I had a ticket back to South Africa for the 24th of July, or rather the 31st,
Okay.
right? And I'm like, oh my God, I have 11 days left. Like, what am I going to do? Right? I was still, because again, coming back, so I experienced reverse culture shock when I got back to South Africa. And
Yeah.
now coming back, I need to, now having not been here for 2 years,
Yeah.
I needed to adjust again.
Yeah.
The speed, because LA is just like this, right?
Yeah.
So I needed to adjust to even, and I remember a friend asking me, like, what has been the biggest adjustment? And I told her it's speaking English all the time. Truly, that's what it was. But so I have this ticket. It's paid for by BET, but I knew deep in my heart that I needed to stay.
Mm-hmm.
After all that I'd been through, my first year here,
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, my parents are not gonna like this very much.
Right.
So I remember I went to LAX a week before on the 24th of July,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going there to um, get a mic stand that I'd left on the plane, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I go there, and then I remember going to LAX. I go there, I go to the counter, and it just so happened to be at the exact time that the flight that I usually take starts boarding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, hi, are you checking in to go to Dubai? I'm like, no. I came to get my mic stand. That in itself was a declaration,
Yeah.
right? Of I'm not leaving.
Yes.
Okay. So they send me over to the other side, and it was a very triggering experience because I remembered the emotions that I felt when I left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was relieved, but at the same time, I was so sad. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it was I was so sad. So anyway, I go to Devon Franklin's service later that night,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally go up to him and I'm like, hey, I need to make a decision whether to leave or go back to South Africa in a week. And he was like, oh boy. And he went ahead and prayed for me. And he prayed a very specific prayer. He was like, God, show him in 3 days what he is supposed to do.
Come on.
Okay?
Yeah.
That was on Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
When I woke up on Friday morning, I go on Facebook and I see a post from a preacher couple that I follow, and the post basically says, "Do not go back." And that was my sign.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I have to break it to my family.
Yeah.
I'm so scared. Um, God is amazing because just before that, I met this couple randomly. You know, God would speak to me. Like at that time, it was very interesting. Like God would speak to me and tell me to go to certain places.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that night, he was like, "Go to the Beverly Center."
Yeah.
And on my way there, I met a South African couple at the train station,
Mm-hmm.
and they told me, the lady told me, she was like, "Don't worry about canceling your flight ticket.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be fine. I've done it many times, and I'm okay."
Yeah.
And I knew that that was the reason why God told me to go there, to
Mm-hmm.
go to the Beverly Center. So I tell my family that I just don't feel like it's time for me to go
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, they were like, if that's what God's telling you,
Yeah.
then we're fine with it.
Yeah.
And that I knew, and that in itself I knew was a sign for me that I was doing the right thing
Mm-hmm.
and I was following the right path.
Yeah.
I still struggle because it's like, okay, how am I gonna, what am I gonna do for money? Just living because it's expensive over here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but my mom came through like literally like a few like a few weeks before we left South Africa. She was in a car accident. A car hit her,
Mm-hmm.
and like the car got totaled. And she basically sacrificed the money that she had gotten from the insurance company
Mm-hmm.
to help me out.
Nice. A
You know,
mother's love.
yeah. So I'm very appreciative of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was basically, she gave me that head start, and I was able to stay. Pandemic hit in 2020. South Africa was doing really well with their numbers at the beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
America obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure
Yeah.
from my family to come back.
Yeah.
And it got so bad that I just stopped talking to my family on the phone, like to my mom on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I was like, I can't be getting on a plane with people that I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's just not safe right now.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was okay. I was gonna be okay. Although it
Yeah.
was a challenge. It was a challenge because, again, like that money ran out. By
Yeah.
then, it had run out.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, how am I gonna make it?
Yeah.
I remember there was a time when I had 3 cents in my bank account. you
Mm-hmm.
know, but fortunately, I was able to keep a roof over my head.
Amen.
There was like that ordinance
Yeah.
in the city
Yeah.
for people to be able to stay at home.
Yeah.
you know, and I was able to just week by week get enough to get food and just live.
Yeah.
So God was faithful with
Mhm.
that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and I've been able to make it and I'm still here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. We got a couple comments. Shout out to my homegirl Carmen. She gave you some applause.
Hey, Carmen.
Applause. Everything falls into place when you operate in God's will. And Carmen is also very familiar with the journey from not necessarily as far of a journey as you have, but from Chicago to New York. So I'm sure that your story will definitely resonate, or it has definitely resonated
Yeah.
with her. And my homegirl Sherry, she says, very true. God has the final say. His sovereignty is real. And that's when we were talking about how we think we're in control when we're really not. I just once again shout out, hey, to those that are just now tuning in with us. Be sure to go ahead and watch the replay of this for the parts that you did miss, because Masego dropped some gems. So Masego, I wanna switch gears just a tad, because this is a space that I designed for specifically for creatives to tell their
Right,
story, but I want us to talk about your creative process as well.
right.
So, Carmen says, totally reminds me of God's work, miracles, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes. So particularly what's of particular interest to me is your songwriting, because that is how we met. And
Right.
also I am currently in a songwriting class. I'm not sure if you heard, but it's a 6 month songwriting.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I won that opportunity. I won the seat in this 6 month in this Best New Artist contest with Carrie Cole, and it's crazy. It was something that I wasn't particularly looking for. Um,
Wow.
it found me, and I went ahead and submitted, because I'm like, well, if they found me and asked me if I was interested in submitting, it was not on the top of my mind. I was like,
Right.
that's direction, and I'm gonna go ahead and submit. So I submitted and I got honorable mention, and now I'm in this course, and it's been amazing. It really opened my eyes to what the process looks like for other people. Like, when you work by yourself a lot,
Yes.
you don't know that maybe you're experiencing the same thing that other people are experiencing.
Hmm.
And I happened to join like a songwriters workshop in the week of after submitting, and the writers workshop, I was just like, oh, everybody's songwriting process kind of goes like this, huh? Because they did a live workshop through a couple people's songs. So
Hmm.
just in that little 10-20 minutes of that segment, it just expanded me and made me feel more confident. So I want to hear a little bit about, you don't have to go in depth, just whatever's
Yeah.
in your mind about um, songwriting and how you create and how you start to write a song.
Man, it can come in many different ways. It
Mm-hmm.
can start with the title,
Yeah.
because I haven't been doing it lately, but like I do have like a folder or rather a document where I have like song titles,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it can come with that, or it can come with one line, just something that you think about, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so like I'm a big concept person. So like maybe for instance, like, oh, and by the way, another thing for me is going to the beach.
Oh yeah.
That just inspires me so much.
Yeah.
Like I always say that I go there to like literally receive songs, you
Ooh,
know?
I love
Yeah.
it.
Hmm. So like I'm just thinking about my last trip, and I'm just thinking about, I was thinking about some relationships that I'm in and some that I've gotten out of. And like the line that came was, that's where you made a mistake. That little bit. That's where you made a mistake. You thought it was
Great
this
line.
way, but it's this way.
Yeah.
Right? And then with that, just like walking on the beach, I just came up with a melody,
Yeah.
because I was really inspired in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely some of my best songs have come from times spent at the beach for
Yeah.
sure. And then, once you get that's like the main skeleton of it, right? And then once you do that, so for me with that, it's just like a little hook, and then from there you kind of like reverse engineer it, and then you build it up with the verses. Like, what do you want to say in your
Yeah.
like that's your story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to say? Maybe I'd talk in that situation. I'd talk about, okay, we had it good, for example, and then this is where things turn
Yeah.
bad. You're right. And then, you lead that up to the hook and the chorus, and then you expand on it in the second verse, and then in the bridge you bring it all together.
Yeah.
It's like a summary of everything, and then you go out with the chorus.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes it's just like humming a melody. I also write songs from beats that I hear, if I really feel something, that's I do that as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm with the co-writer and they play something on a guitar that I like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, play that one more time,
Yeah.
repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, and then I build something around that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those
Right.
were new things for me. The beach thing. Now I definitely feel most creative when I am along the beach. It's very free and
Mhm.
calming, and it seems like nobody else is listening to you, and
Right.
you could
Right.
just let it go. And
Yeah.
like Carmen said, she said nature usually motivates creativity. Good reminders. And
Yeah.
then the other thing about how you described the anatomy of a song, but the bridge being a summary. And I've never heard that before, but that's pretty much, yes, that's
It
correct.
is. You bring it home, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you
hmm
bring it home. So when did you start songwriting, and when did you start songwriting, and when you started, was it like an intentional, I'm going to be a songwriter, or you just like, I like to write this little jingle, and then eventually you end up claiming songwriting as your thing?
So I'm smiling right now because there's a story to this.
Okay.
So, there was a girl that I liked in high school. I was
Okay.
14 years old.
Get your.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, the tea, right? And yeah, I don't think even Zandi knows the story. Anyway, so I liked her, and she rejected me. She rejected me, and I was hurt. We had feelings for each other. It's crazy because she rejected me the first time I approached her, but
Uh-huh.
then, like, we kind of got back together. Well,
Yeah.
there were sparks even
Yes.
after the rejection,
Yes.
but the sparks didn't lead to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it just didn't happen. It just
Yeah.
never happened. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I was too shy to actually say, okay, this is what it is. But like, yeah, we would call each other. We were flirtatious with each other. So anyway, rejection, I started writing these lyrics,
Okay.
right? And there was a girl, one of my classmates, Joyce, she wrote songs.
Okay.
So I took my lyrics, I'm like, hey, Joyce, can you turn these into music?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Yeah.
she did. Um, but then, like the next year, I started making my own melodies. That's when I really started like doing that. And it carried on from there. And for me, like I grew up listening like to Babyface. So those people were my, heroes of songwriting because I knew him to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
And then I also learned about like Diane Warren at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but South Africa doesn't have like a huge songwriting market, if I may put it like that, because our music
Yeah.
industry is very small. So, you know, me telling my parents that I want to be a songwriter was very foreign to them.
Yeah.
And this is like the year 2000. So Google is not the Google that it is now.
Right. Google
You
is
know,
like a
we had the internet, but it wasn't just as easily accessible.
yeah.
So yeah, people were still relying on newspapers for
Yeah.
information. You know, yeah. So yeah, so 14 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
14. Wonderful.
Hmm. Hmm.
You touched on something. I'm going to touch on it briefly because I want to move on to your NFT project.
Yes.
But we wrap, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to talk about one more thing that I hope
Right.
we do. But you've touched on this twice, I think, the word information, and it's crazy because that was a word that was on my mind about 30 or 40 minutes before this
Wow.
conversation. And I want to say maybe yesterday, but when I think about the time that we're in, we are in an age of information.
Right.
And, um, and I still hadn't figured out why information was on my mind. But when I think about our journeys, right, we always think that we don't have help, or somebody is holding us back, or some entity is holding us back. But the cool thing about right now is that information, all the information that we need to do whatever we got to do to get whatever we got to get, is
Mm.
right at our fingertips. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've learned how to do yoga on YouTube, and it
Right.
costs me nothing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But just my discipline and my energy and my time. But the information is out there, like whatever you need here on this social media IG live. Like, we just shared a whole bunch of different tips and tools, and I know both you and I are very accessible to those that have any further questions. But
Absolutely.
there's so many opportunities for us to grow and be and do and have whatever we want, and it's pretty much limitless on the information that we receive. It's just that we got to do it. So let's hear about your NFT project and Sundays with Masego.
Well, so Sundays with Masego, I've been doing that since I got back, literally.
Yeah.
So I'm just about to finish season 3.
Okay.
And then first week of July, we start season 4,
Okay.
you know. Yeah. Again, it's God just being God, you know. I just started posting videos. A
Mm-hmm.
friend, I knew coming back that I wanted to document more of my experience, and my friend Shane gave me that push. You know, he heard something I said. He was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, put that in a video."
Yes.
And I did. I did. And I've been pretty consistent with that ever since.
Yeah.
So basically, I encourage and inspire based on my life experiences
Mm-hmm.
at that particular time.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're on 3 seasons now, so there's tons of content, right? So
Yeah.
um, I just felt like God was putting an urgency for me to actually go ahead and explore NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is right now is that I would say it's a video NFT,
Okay.
right? It's actually a multimedia NFT. Sorry,
Okay.
it's a multimedia NFT because the elements are video, audio, images, and written form,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's based on the episodes. So currently I'll call it a capsule collection. It's
Okay.
limited.
Yeah.
So there are only 3. They're based on the first 3 episodes.
Okay.
So one is about, I think Carmen spoke about this, miracles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first episode, the fact that miracles do happen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And in that episode, I talk about how I got back here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is find your peace,
Yeah.
right? I talk about a crazy roommate experience and how I left that. I made
Yeah.
the decision to leave,
Yeah.
right? Again, leaving toxic relationships.
Mhm.
And then the last one is be open. It's about being open to hearing other people's stories because those may inspire and encourage you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so they're limited. The first one, miracles do happen. There's only 10 of those available, and the Find Your Peace is 22,
Okay.
and then the last one, um, Be Open, there's 88 of those.
Whoa.
So yeah, so they're pretty limited.
Mhm.
And you guys just follow me, and you can also follow Sundays. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
At Sundays W Masego, just to yeah, join the community. And yeah, I'm looking for that first person, that pioneer to buy the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and yeah, and again, the idea is to inspire and encourage,
Yeah.
and I also just want to build a community with that project as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 2 questions in the queue. I'm always excited about questions. So we are going. So I have one question, which is also my question. But what exactly is an NFT? Because let me tell you something. I have read about NFTs about 25,000 times, and I'm still like, well, what that say though? So I'm with you, Monique. Could you give us a brief synopsis on what an NFT is, and I guess how to use it in a way that's useful. Yeah, in a way that's useful. And I'm gonna close my shades while you go ahead and talk about
Right.
it.
So, guys, an NFT it stands for a non-fungible token, but in simple terms, it's a digital asset, right? Yeah, it's a digital asset, and then it's got an underlying utility, right? So, for instance, with my NFT, right, what you're gonna see is a video image, or rather, video, right? So that's what you're gonna see. But the underlying utility, that's where the value is, right? And with mine, like I said, it's like 4 things in one, right? So you get the video,
Mm-hmm.
you get the audio,
Yeah.
you get the image,
Yeah.
and you get the message in written form,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. There's another one that I like, and maybe that this could be a better example, right? Um, Gary Vaynerchuk has his own NFT. It's called VFriends, right?
Okay.
So with his, you literally have an image of his drawing and he signed it, right? So that's what you see. Anybody can screenshot that, right? And say it's theirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's what's special, what the underlying utility for that, the value underneath that asset, is the fact that when you buy that NFT, you either get access to his conference
Okay.
for the next 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
you get to go and see a basketball game with him,
Yeah.
you get to go on a FaceTime call with him,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So the underlying value or utility, that's really what gives the NFT value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if what I'm thinking in my head also matches. Um,
Okay.
an example. So let's say I want to take this tea time and make it an NFT. It's basically like, here you can pay for this downloaded video
Mm-hmm.
file of
Mm-hmm.
my tea time.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, instead of putting the replay on my Instagram that's
Mm-hmm.
accessible to all, I would create exclusivity by saying, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to send me, I mean, if you want me to send you this replay, I have
Mm-hmm.
it on my NFT page
Mm-hmm.
for purchase, and I have a set value on that thing.
Set value, and then like, let me give you a music example,
Okay.
right? Okay, you've got music out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You
Yeah.
can turn your songs literally into NFTs,
Oh.
right? So you'll have your cover art.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be what people see. And then you have the audio as well connected to that. And
Yeah.
then you can add more things to that to give more value. You're going to
Okay.
say, okay, you're already doing tea time, right?
Right.
So you are going to have access to all tea time recordings,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so maybe that's going to be like the first tier if you want to do that. And
Yeah.
then maybe the second tier, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to give you like a private concert
Gotcha.
in the Chicago area for 10 people,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
That's the second tier, right? And the third tier, you're going to be like, okay, I'll write you an original song
Mm-hmm.
for a special day. You're getting married, birthday,
Yeah.
grandmother's birthday, family reunion, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I
it,
hope,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it sounds to me, because those are things that we have already, like, when we talk about like the marketing and promotion of art and stuff, those are things that we've just learned over time through the ASCAP conference and the CD Baby conference. But it was more so in like a membership form, or like Patreon is what this
Right.
reminds me of. But now it's pretty much like, I guess, taking it to a higher level, possibly. So I do get it a little bit more. Thank you. I hope you got it some more too.
Yeah, I hope I hope that was valuable to you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually made sense today.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the special thing is that, like, I'm just gonna go a tad deeper here.
Okay.
That it's built on a network. I'll call it a network, but right, it's called the blockchain, right?
Right.
And it's built, the main ones, the more common ones are built on Ethereum, right? So
Okay.
it's the cryptocurrency Ethereum, but like Ethereum is built on this network called the blockchain. Now, what is special about that is that like you can create a smart contract on that network,
Okay.
and it there's a very small chance of that contract being tampered with. So basically, it's so secure that when it's yours, it's yours. So
Okay.
once you get that NFT,
Uh-huh.
it's yours. It's easy to prove that it's yours. You can't tell, you can't steal one and say that it's yours when it isn't.
Yeah.
So it's very secure.
Okay, and so I'm also thinking of it as like a collection. Like, I have friends who are like visual artists, and
Mhm.
maybe they had like a coffee table book, and they only had 30 exclusive copies, and
Mhm.
each of those had a certificate that
Yes,
number on it, and so you knew that you were the number 2 or 3 or 7 collector. You got their
absolutely.
autograph and stuff like that. So this pretty much just digitizes
Yes.
those things. Oh,
Yeah.
this is good. All right, I didn't even know we were going here today, people.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Monique said thank you. That was helpful because she thought it was a type of stock or Bitcoin. And then Bakita said yes, this was helpful. Okay. Thank you. So we got one more question, and
All right.
you all, we're gonna wrap shortly. So if you have any more questions for Masego, go ahead and drop that in the chat, and I'll try to get to at least 1 or 2 more.
Right.
So Sherry says, Masego, I plan to visit LA sometime this year. Me too, girl. Is there a live music venue you suggest I can check out? And maybe if you can give us a couple of ideas, like maybe an intimate space, a larger space, and an outdoor space. And I say those different parameters because Sherry is a singer-songwriter artist like us. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that, she's probably asking so she can visit and perform. Hello.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. um, there are open mics. Yeah, you'd have to Sherry DM me. I'll have to look it up, but
Okay.
like I do know that at the school that I was attending, they used to have open mics, but I just don't know what it's like with the pandemic.
Yeah.
But at the ones that come to my, oh, there is one, Unplugged LA. Check
Oh,
out
okay.
Unplugged LA.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So yeah, look into that. And there's another one. I think it's called Soulful Sundays. Yeah,
Okay.
but Sherry, DM me. Yeah, so I
Yes.
can give you that information. But yeah, Unplugged and Soulful Sundays. I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The second one might be the best bet if you want to perform.
Yeah.
I don't think you even have to like pre-book
Oh,
or like reserve your spots. You just go up and sing.
okay.
Yeah. So, but just you'd have to contact them first just to be sure about that. This is just based on my experience going there, which was again before the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the bigger space is the hotel cafe. They usually have some famous people over there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and so those are the ones that come to mind right now. Hmm.
Um, Free will, like free concerts in downtown during the summer. And then Sherry said, thank you so much. All right. So, Maseo, here's the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about. And it's a topic that I don't like to glaze over. However, I think it's, one of the purposes of, Tea Time with Lynn is to also highlight that, yes, creatives, we have really good things happen to us and we have really bad things happen to us, just like everybody else. I think sometimes when people think about creatives or artists, they don't always perceive us as human.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or we're perceived as maybe something that's other than, like, it's like, oh, your life routine is different than
Right.
my life routine or whatever,
Mhm.
but it's all pretty much the same. But I wanted to talk about um self-care and mental health.
Right.
And you mentioned that you've done like some self-help things
Hmm.
and that you struggle with like depression
Hmm.
and things like that. And that you also got help.
Hmm.
And how about this? Can you share one thing that was valuable to you for your mental health throughout a part of your journey? Because I'm sure it evolved to other things. So pick one part of your journey and what was the one thing that was valuable to you in terms of your mental health?
So one thing that was valuable to me
Yeah.
about my mental health as part in any part of my journey. Okay. I hope I answer this, but
There's no
what
wrong answers.
yeah, what comes to mind is the last I've just finished 4 months of therapy. I finished last Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, last Monday. And one of the biggest things I learned from my time with my therapist is that I have the power
Ooh,
and my power is valuable.
yes. Come on now.
Yeah.
I love that. I
I'll
got
just
look.
leave it at that.
That's it. That's it. Yes, I'm gonna give some hand claps on that. I love that. Thank you. I'm glad that I found that question.
Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody, thank you all for watching, and Maseo, thank you so much for being my co-host of the day.
This is fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was a long time coming. Y'all, Maseo was supposed to be a guest host last year, but Lynn Solar got burnt out, okay? And I was like, hey, I can't do this right now.
Right.
So yeah, I'm so thankful that we were able to schedule it, even with our reschedule. Thank you for your flexibility. Speaking of
Absolutely.
reschedule, I think let me just share that For those of you that don't know, I am a cast member on a couple shows at the Black Ensemble Theater for the Black Playwrights Festival. And with that being said, it's just 2 shows. One is a show about Hattie McDaniel on April 28th. And then the second show is about Tammy Terrell on April, I got the dates wrong. Hattie, April 26th, Tammy, April 28th. And it's just like a table read. If you are in Chicago, definitely come and check it out. Yeah, that's my exciting news. You know, you work hard until you get to live in your dream, and when you get to live in your dream, I don't take it for granted at all. So, Zandy says she is so proud of you, Maseo, and
thank you.
Thank you, Zandy. I am so very proud of you. I'm so thankful that you are my friend.
Oh, yes. The same. I feel the same.
And I'm hoping that we can see each other in person. Really
yeah, come to LA, okay?
Yes.
But like, I need to do Chicago too. But like I always tell you, I'll see you guys in the summer.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Or late summer, because I'm not doing anything else.
Yes, and I would not have it any other way. I don't want to be here on any other season but summer. Okay.
Right.
And I will see you at the beach. That's a cool IG handle. Says so proud of you, Maseo, as well. So thank you all for joining us. I look forward to seeing you all again on the next Tea Time with Lynn and whoever my co-host is of the day. My cousin said she plans to come to LA as well as a first timer soon. It sounds like somebody needs to put together a group trip or something.
Yeah, like, no, I need to put together like a guide, like a real Angelino guide to like be like, okay, this is what you need to look out for now.
Yes, do that so that then we can travel with that timeline.
Right.
And before I wrap this up, everybody, y'all make sure to follow Maseo. You can tap in at the bio at the top and follow each of us. But that's also Masego Songs at MASEGOSONGS. So be sure to follow. And he's also tagged on this IG post for this event today if you haven't seen it. Yo, we got a 4th person down for LA. Come on, LA. Y'all don't be trying to play me though when I get to saying, hey, can we go to LA in September or whatever, and y'all all like, well, like all right. All right, I love you lots, and I love you all that are watching so much. And let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for coming through and listening. And yeah, be blessed.
Yes, and amen. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Oh, wait, Maseo, wait, before you go.
Yeah.
I need a picture for my little cover photo.
Oh, okay.
So come on, get picture ready. And bam. All right. Thank you. See you later.